Hey y'all, I got some shit would need to be said, okay? So this is part 5 of Nothing But Facts. I was left off talking about my police report being ripped up in my face at the police station, a doctor refusing to test my daughter's blood after she was poisoned by the ex-mother-in-law while her husband stood there watching, and how the complete breakdown of my relationship formed after enduring an emotionally abusive ex and emotionally, physically abusive ex-in-laws. So I no longer felt safe living where we lived due to the verbal, mental, emotional, and physical abuse of the ex-in-laws. And clearly, the ex felt the same way since she went out and purchased a gun from one of her coworkers. All I wanted to do was move somewhere the in-laws weren't aware of. However, I also wanted to move away from the ex, especially after enduring emotional abuse and infidelity within the relationship. I spoke with the ex about us selling the home and moving into separate places. At first, the ex didn't like the idea, but when I suggested to her that being in her own place would give her the freedom to do whatever she wanted, her eyes lit up like a kid on Christmas Day. The ex agreed to sell the home, and because I was already a realtor, I asked my peer at our brokerage to partner with me in selling my home. So, over the next few months, I prepared the home for sale by retrieving boxes to pack up while making a checklist of things I'd keep and the ex would keep. Also, we agreed the kids would primarily live with me, which is evident in the mediation co-parenting agreement I posted on my YouTube channel under the community tab. However, when it came to the vehicles, the ex didn't want me to have either of them, even though I'd be the one with the kids most of the time. This left me negotiating why I should retrieve more money in the home sale because I'd need to purchase another vehicle to get around with the kids. After everything was pretty much agreed upon, the tension in the home wasn't the best, but thank goodness it came to an end due to the sale of our home in just a few months. The new homeowners wanted to occupy the property by December 6, 2019, so I made reservations for my kiddos and I at a nearby hotel while we waited to occupy our new home by December 9th, 2019. I allowed the ex to stay with us at the hotel until checkout because she hadn't found a place to live yet, but when December 9th, 2019 arrived, my twins and I were off to our new place and the ex went to live with a friend. Shortly after the kids and I settled into our new place, on January 3rd, 2020, I went and filed for dismantle of our civil union agreement, in which the ex would be served January 17th, 2020. My birthday fell on the week the kids were to be with the ex, so I took the opportunity to spend my B-Day in West Hollywood, and while there, visited with a family member. Upon my return to pick my kids up from the ex January 11th, 2020, is when the family feuding returned, but this time it was due to the over-medication of my twins, which I have a video of the incident on my YouTube channel under the Winter and Laker folder. Then January 16th, 2020, the ex sent police to my home to remove my son, specifically. The police didn't remove my son and told the ex to take it up in court. The very next day, the ex was served papers to dismantle our civil union agreement. And after the last two incidences that occurred with myself, the ex, and the kids, I gotta tell y'all, I was so happy I filed those papers. It became very clear to me that the ex planned on making my life a living hell due to the breakup. Then the anonymous calls to Child Protective Services began, where a CPS worker began calling me and visiting my home due to what was reported, which was found to be unsubstantiated all 3 times. Yes, 3 times. That's how many times CPS was called on me by an anonymous person. The court battle to dismantle the civil union agreement and to amicably co-parent the kids began in May of 2020 and didn't end until April of 2021, with a decree being released June 16, 2021. However, the child custody battle still persisted. During the child custody battle, it became nasty to the point of court dates being changed unbeknownst to me, and hearings would take place without me there. Court dates were changed twice without me knowing, and every time I'd find out, I'd email the judge's executive assistant asking why I wasn't notified about the changes. As a matter of fact, the very last court date that was changed without my knowledge, which gave the ex upper hand, and as a result, the ex was given custody of my kids. That's how the ex got my kids, y'all, because the ex's attorney changed court dates, got the approval from the judge to do so, and nobody told me about it. All because I didn't have an attorney, which I guess emboldened them to abuse power over me. The judge threatened me with a bench warrant if I didn't hand my kids over to the ex, and he used the reasoning of me withholding my kids from the ex in order to protect them from the ex's family. As a matter of fact, y'all, if you look at the upper right-hand side of the post, on line 17, it clearly states, and I quote, "It is further ordered, adjudged, and decreed that the defendant's parents shall not have any contact with the minor children. This issue may be reopened." End quote. But guys, the ex was purposely handing my kids over to her parents to be hurt. So why in the world would the judge force me to give my kids over to the very person who allowed them to be hurt? Does that make sense? Mind you, the judge was making rulings against me without viewing all of my evidence. I even told the judge I had a written statement by the ex against her own parents speaking on the abuse, which I've uploaded that evidence on my YouTube channel under the community tab for you guys to see. And the judge didn't even take it into consideration. He never once viewed the ex's written testimony because the ex's attorney told him to omit it from the case. The reason the judge ordered the ex's parents to stay away from my kids was due to the Facebook posts and restraining order I took out against the ex's parents. I'll be posting those documents on my YouTube channel for better viewing as well. Furthermore, the only reason the judge viewed my Facebook post and restraining order is because he wanted to know why I was withholding my kids from the ex, which clearly the reasoning was due to the ex allowing the kids to be hurt while in her care. And although the judge said I did everything right by following all protocol with regards to police reports, restraining orders, and filing to dismantle the civil union agreement, he still allowed my kids to be put back into the hands of the person who allowed them to be hurt. After the judge ruled for the ex's parents to stay away from the kids, the ex became enraged and quickly told her attorney to have me not call her phone ever due to harassment. Then, y'all, I was left with visitation rights to my own biological kids. I was told I had to pay to go and visit my biological kids as if I did something wrong to my own kids. As a matter of fact, I'll read off the orders. Plaintiff may continue with the previously agreed rate of $10 an hour for the 2-hour block of visitation at Donna's house. That parties may only cancel scheduled visitations for true emergencies per Donna House rules. There is a complete compliance with the visitation. Plaintiff may motion to move visitations to family first. Ordered for supervised visitation at Donna's house, executed and filed in open court. Copies shall be provided to plaintiff and attorney Vega. The minor children medication and therapy shall continue. I don't know what medication he's talking about or therapy. That plaintiff shall seek therapy. And when I asked him therapy for what, he asked the defendant's attorney, and she said, oh, for text messaging the defendant. That's why I needed to seek therapy. That the defendant's parents shall not have any contact with the minor children, which I read that threats from family members shall stop and a behavior order shall be emphasized, and that plaintiff, which is me, shall be responsible for third-party behavior. So if somebody in my family reached out to the ex, then I'm responsible or I get dinged or in trouble because of that. And I have no control over another grown person, right? I didn't make that make sense. But after being forced to hand over my kids to the ex November 20th, 2020, that same night, the ex's goons followed me home. And the next day, there were a bunch of obscenities written all over my truck, which had never happened to me before. And I immediately became worried they could do something further to tamper with my vehicle. I no longer felt safe where I was. And this is what made me move next door to California. As you guys can see, the emails on this post are from the place I visited with my kids. And the supervisor of the place, Jan, would mediate back and forth between the ex and I on meetups with the kids. Clearly, it states in the judge's orders that no visitation should be canceled unless there's a true emergency. And clearly, in 2 emails, there was never a clear emergency given, just canceled by the ex. The ex did this often to hurt me and to make my kids feel like I didn't want to see them, which is more emotional and mental abuse. The court allowed the emotional and mental abuse to carry on by the hands of the ex, and I was treated as if I were the culprit. As a matter of fact, I had to write up and submit an entire document to the court against the defamation of character within the divorce decree. It was a bunch of lies with no evidence behind it, and I felt I needed to defend myself, so I did. Of course, it didn't matter. It didn't seem like anything I did right mattered, and the ex and the ex's parents were allowed to get away with hurting me and my babies. Although under Nevada law NRS 200.571, the crime of harassment fits with the ex's parents forcing their way into our home, with the ex's mother poisoning my daughter Winter, with the ex's mother knocking her daughter to the ground, pouring hot coffee on her, and might I add, I received numerous harassing text messages from the ex's new spouse, whom I never ever texted or spoke to on the phone phone, so I wasn't sure why she felt comfortable contacting me over something that had nothing to do with her. Moreover, those harassing text messages from the ex's new spouse, I didn't see any of them until a few days ago because after the first text she sent, I blocked her phone number. But I'm going to upload those messages on my YouTube channel under the community tab for your viewing. Part 6 coming soon.